Nature has a different relationship with time than we do. As humans, we measure our lives in decades, hitting milestones at 20, 50, or 80. We consider a century to be the absolute pinnacle of a life well lived. But in the wider animal kingdom, 100 years is often just the beginning. There are creatures moving through our oceans and hidden in our forests that were alive during the Industrial Revolution, others that saw the rise of empires, and a few that have existed since before the written word. Today, we are looking at the biological elite, the 10 species that have mastered the art of longevity. We aren't just talking about a few extra years, we are talking about biological systems that defy the cellular decay we accept as inevitable. From the cold depths of the North Atlantic to the volcanic islands of the Pacific, let's explore the animals that outlive us all.
We begin our list in the freshwater lakes and rivers of North America. The Lake Sturgeon is a living fossil, a prehistoric-looking fish with bony plates instead of scales. While many freshwater fish live for a decade or two, the female Lake Sturgeon is a marathon runner. While males typically live around 55 years, the females can easily surpass 150 years. Imagine a fish swimming in the Great Lakes today that was a juvenile when Abraham Lincoln was in office. Their secret is a very slow metabolism and a late-blooming life cycle. They don't even begin to reproduce until they are nearly 30 years old. Because they live in cold water and have few natural predators once they reach their full size of 7 feet, they simply persist. They represent a slow, steady approach to life that bypasses the frantic pace of shorter-lived species. Number 9. The Rougheye Rockfish. Deep beneath the waves of the North Pacific, from the coast of California up to Japan, lives the Rougheye Rockfish. Named for the 10 or so spines along its lower eyelid, this fish is a master of the deep-sea slow burn. Scientists have aged individuals of this species at 205 years old. The Rougheye Rockfish lives at depths of up to 1,500 feet, where the water is perpetually cold and the environment is stable. In these conditions, their biological processes slow down significantly. Research into their genetics has revealed something fascinating. They possess specific genes associated with DNA repair and tumor suppression. While human cells eventually lose their ability to replicate perfectly, leading to the physical signs of aging, the Rougheye Rockfish seems to have a molecular maintenance crew that keeps its system running for over 2 centuries. To put that in perspective, a Rougheye Rockfish caught today could have been born before the invention of the light bulb. Number 8. The Bowhead Whale. Moving from the rocky depths to the icy surface of the Arctic, we encounter the true heavyweight of longevity, the Bowhead Whale. For a long time, we didn't realize how old these mammals could get. The discovery was made by accident when researchers found traditional ivory harpoon points embedded in the blubber of whales caught in the 1990s. Those harpoon points hadn't been used since the 1880s. Further testing of their eye tissue confirmed the incredible truth. Bowhead whales can live for over 211 years. They are the longest-lived mammals on Earth. Living in the freezing Arctic waters requires a massive body and a very low core temperature. Their metabolic rate is incredibly low, and they possess a unique duplication of genes that prevent cancer and repair damaged DNA. They don't just live long, they stay healthy. They don't suffer from the cardiovascular diseases and age-related ailments that limit human life. They are a testament to the idea that a massive life can also be an incredibly long one. Perhaps the most famous icon of longevity is the Galápagos giant tortoise. These massive reptiles are the very definition of slow and steady. In the wild, they regularly live past 100, but in captivity they have pushed the boundaries of the 2nd century. One famous individual named Harriet, who was reportedly collected by Charles Darwin himself, lived to be 175 years old. Another, an Aldabra giant tortoise named Adwaita, was estimated to be 255 years old when he passed away in 2006. Their longevity is a masterpiece of energy conservation. They can go up to a year without eating or drinking, surviving on stored fat and metabolic water. They move slowly, breathe slowly, and grow slowly. This low-energy lifestyle means their cells aren't subjected to the high levels of oxidative stress that wear down the bodies of faster-moving animals. For a Galápagos tortoise, a human lifespan is a fleeting season. They are the silent witnesses of the islands, spanning generations of human history without ever picking up the pace. Hidden among the rocky crevices of the shallow Pacific waters from Alaska to Baja California is a creature that seems to ignore the concept of aging entirely. The Red Sea Urchin, a spiny spherical invertebrate, was once thought to live only about 10 or 15 years. However, carbon-14 dating has revealed a staggering reality. These creatures can live for over 200 years. What makes the Red Sea Urchin truly remarkable is that it shows almost no signs of senescence, the biological term for growing old. A 100-year-old urchin is just as healthy, just as capable of moving, and just as fertile as a 10-year-old urchin. They don't get old in the way we do. They simply continue to grow and reproduce until an external force, a predator or a disease, finally stops them. They possess an incredible ability to regenerate lost spines and tissues, maintaining a state of perpetual biological youth that scientists are still trying to fully understand. We now cross the threshold from centuries into the realm of the truly ancient. The Ocean Quahog is a species of edible clam found in the North Atlantic. At first glance, it looks like any other seashell you might find on a beach, but inside that humble shell is a record of time that rivals the oldest trees on Earth. In 2006, researchers dredging off the coast of Iceland found a specimen they nicknamed Ming because it was born during the Ming dynasty in China. When they counted the growth rings on its shell, a process similar to counting the rings of a tree, they discovered it was 507 years old. This clam was alive when Christopher Columbus set sail for the Americas. It lived through the Renaissance, the Industrial Revolution, and both World Wars, all while sitting quietly on the ocean floor. The Ocean Quahog has an exceptionally high level of antioxidant protection that prevents its cell membranes from breaking down over time. It is quite literally a living time capsule. When we think of animals, we usually think of creatures that move, hunt, and breathe. But corals are colonial animals, made up of thousands of tiny polyps, and they are some of the longest-lived organisms on the face of the Earth. While many shallow water corals live for a few centuries, the black corals found in the deep, dark waters off the coast of Hawaii and in the Gulf of Mexico are in a league of their own. Using radiocarbon dating, scientists have found specimens of Laopathes, a genus of black coral, that are over 4,265 years old. To put that in perspective, these living animals were already established colonies when the Great Pyramid of Giza was being constructed. They grow at an incredibly agonizing pace, sometimes only micrometers per year. Because they live in the deep sea, where the temperature is stable and predators are few, they simply continue to build upon their skeletal structures century after century. They are the silent golden-brown forests of the abyss, standing as living monuments to the ancient world. If 4,000 years sounds impressive, the glass sponge takes us even further back into the history of the planet. These unique animals are found in the deep ocean and are named for their skeletons, which are made of silica, the same material used to make glass. They look like delicate, translucent vases, but they are among the hardiest survivors in existence. In the East China Sea, researchers discovered a specimen of the species Monoraphis chuni that was estimated to be 11,000 years old. This individual was born at the end of the last ice age, around the time humans were first beginning to experiment with agriculture in the Fertile Crescent. The glass sponge's secret to longevity is its syncytial body structure. It is essentially one giant multinucleated cell that stretches across its entire skeleton. It has a metabolic rate so low it is almost immeasurable, allowing it to endure for over 100 human lifetimes in the cold, nutrient-rich currents of the deep. Returning to the vertebrate world, we find a creature that has recently shocked the scientific community, the Greenland shark. For decades, these sluggish, mysterious giants of the North Atlantic were a mystery. They grow only about 1 centimeter per year, reaching lengths of over 16 feet. But it wasn't until scientists used radiocarbon dating on the proteins in the shark's eye lenses that they realized exactly how old these predators are. The oldest Greenland shark ever studied was estimated to be roughly 392 years old, with a potential age of up to 512 years. This means there are sharks swimming in the Arctic today that may have been born before William Shakespeare wrote his first play. They don't even reach sexual maturity until they are 150 years old, meaning they spend more time as children than most humans spend alive. Their heart rate is incredibly slow, and their tissues are filled with antifreeze compounds that protect them from the crushing cold. They move through the dark water like ghosts, untouched by the passage of time that claims almost everything else in the ocean. We conclude our journey with a tiny bell-shaped creature no larger than a pinky nail, Turritopsis dohrnii, better known as the Immortal Jellyfish. While the other animals on this list are champions of longevity, they are still mortal. Their biological clocks move forward, however slowly. The immortal jellyfish, however, has discovered the biological equivalent of a reset button. When this jellyfish faces physical stress, disease, or old age, it doesn't die. Instead, it undergoes a process called transdifferentiation. It sinks to the ocean floor, transforms its existing cells into a younger state, and reverts back into a polyp, the earliest stage of its life cycle. It is the equivalent of a butterfly turning back into a caterpillar, or a fully grown bird turning back into an egg. From this polyp stage, it eventually buds off and becomes a jellyfish again, genetically identical to the one that died. Theoretically, this process can go on forever.
bearing being eaten by a predator or destroyed by a massive environmental shift, this animal is biologically immortal. It exists in a loop, bypassing the inevitable decay that defines every other living thing on Earth. It serves as a profound reminder that nature is not just a series of rules, but a collection of exceptions. It proves that even the most fundamental truth of life, that it must end, can be rewritten. As we look back across this list, from the 200-year-old Bowhead Whale to the 11,000-year-old glass sponge, we see a recurring theme. Longevity is rarely about speed, power, or dominance. It is about patience, stability, and the ability to repair what time tries to break. These animals remind us that we share the planet with witnesses to history, beings that have seen the world change in ways we can only read about in books. They challenge our perspective on what it means to live a long life. While a human century feels like an eternity to us, in the grander design of the natural world, it is often just a single chapter in a much longer, much older story. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of nature's greatest survivors. The more we understand about their lives, the more we learn about the incredible resilience of life itself.